Hi, my name is Michael Peveler. I'm the Vice President of Sales at AtlasIED, and I'd like to welcome you to our Q&A about our brand new Atmosphere release. I'm joined today by Tom Lureman, the Director of Product Management. Tom, thanks for being
Hi,
here,
Michael.
man.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Listen, we're going to talk today about your baby, right? We're going to talk here about Atmosphere. For those who maybe don't have experience with the product, we introduced the first generation of the product in 2020. A 4-zone and 8-zone DSP, as well as a family of amplifiers and accessories. We said then that it was going to be, that this was a platform, that this was going to be a series of launches that would come over time. And we've done software updates and made some changes, but I know Tom feels the same way. We know nobody was going to believe that it was really a family, a platform, until we made the next hardware introduction. And we did. And we introduced it last week at ISE in Barcelona. And so today we're going to get into the details of what we introduced. So while we're here, if you've got any questions, feel free to submit them via the chat, and we will get back to you as quickly as we can on those. So let's dig in. So Tom, let's start with some overview of the hardware and the new introductions that we made.
Sure. We launched 3 new products, the AZMP8, the AZMP4, and the X-ZPS. The first 2 I mentioned, the AZMP8 and AZMP4, are powered versions of the existing AZM8 and AZM4. So each of the models has full atmosphere capabilities. That's all of the DSP, all the scheduling, the message players, scenes, routines, virtual wall controllers, compatibility with all the accessories. But we've developed an in-house amplifier platform to actually power that audio. So no more connecting to another amplifier via analog connections or network connections. You now have a full powered system within that. And we developed these amplifiers in-house over the last few years to have some really unique advantages. We have 4-channel models that are 600 watts, and you can do power sharing between all 4 of those channels, between 5 and 600 watts. We do incredible work with fidelity and performance under high loads, and we're able to monitor all that with some really cool features we'll probably talk about here in a minute. And so we have the 8-channel model that is 1200 watts total, and the 4-channel model that is 600 watts total. And again, there's power sharing between that. The accessory we launched, the ZPS, Zone Paging Station, is a full atmosphere paging station accessory that connects up to the atmosphere accessory port, automatically discovers and gives you that really simple programming that you expect from atmosphere accessories.
Yeah, let's go back for a second to the AZMP 4 and 8 and take that power sharing stuff feature that you were talking about. That was a hit last week. We showed the product in Barcelona. The response from the ability to do that, to manage different channels based on the demand, whether it was 4 or 8 ohm or 70 volt, 100 volt, be able to customize that. That was really unique. That was the wow factor for a lot of people. They loved the mic and the paging station, and we're definitely going to get to that. But the response from the power sharing, people went, "Wow, this is incredible." What were you guys thinking? What were you looking to achieve when you started designing that?
Well, the Atmosphere team has always wanted to do an amplifier. We've got a team of people that have a really strong amplifier background, but we wanted to build that head end to really provide, all those features for when we do get to homegrown amplification. And so we wanted to do something that was a bit different. And power sharing amplifiers exist out there in the market, and it's basically, you just put a bunch of speakers on the line and the amplifier will divert power to it. But you tend to get into problems when you have shorting out on one channel or an issue on one channel versus others, and how they all handle that and balance that load. And the way we did it was intelligently through the interface the little slider that you choose exactly how much power that amplifier channel can receive. And these are all channels can be 4 ohm, 8 ohm, 70 volt, 100 volt, direct drive. You can have any mix and match of that you want, but the power is now limited to exactly what you tell it to do. So it can then reserve that extra power for a larger zone or for a speaker like a subwoofer, and it can limit it in intelligent ways so that one speaker line can't drag down other speaker lines.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we heard from our channel, from our resellers at the show. Is look, it's a day and age when getting amplifiers today is something more challenging in many ways than it ever has been because of the supply chain. And so they said, look, this is great because we can actually maximize and fully utilize the amplifier we have versus putting an amp and losing an entire input on the amp to one zone that might only need very little power, right? And so the efficiency of it and maximizing the product that they had and were purchasing, that really stuck with people and was an absolute hit. Let's go over to the paging station for a second. I heard more times than I can count, this is what we were waiting for. I mean, over and over, people came in and said, listen, I love Atmosphere. It's great. But the fact that you've got this paging station, this is incredible. But again, you guys kind of went above and beyond in the way you designed it, the touch panel aspect. Talk a little bit about some of the features of the X-ZPS.
Sure. Yeah. All of our accessories that we developed for Atmosphere are intelligent accessories. Even our most simple volume wall controller is an intelligent device that boots up and communicates and identifies itself. So the interface can then give the installer or end user just the appropriate controls and make it as easy as possible. So we wanted to take that same philosophy along with the hunger for the market to do this paging station and do what we do with it. With Atmosphere, we try to make things simple. We make them elegant. So the paging station has a 4.3-inch touch screen on it. The interface on it looks very similar to our virtual wall controller, which is QR-based mobile wall controllers. So there's a consistent design. As you add new options to that controller, the screen will automatically build itself to show you just the features and the things that you want and not the things that you don't want. And it has all the paging features you would expect. Of course, you can go in there and select a zone or multiple zones, hit page, and speak through the high quality microphone. But we also have other options for quickly selecting a group of zones and logic for when there's collision between this paging station and another paging station, or if a message is going off, the screen will give you feedback of which zones are busy and when you're able to page. And of course, those are all adjustable within the software, but the default settings give you, a lot of control over this system and a lot of integration where a regular analog microphone connected up to the back of this system wouldn't give you. So there's a lot of kind of ingrained, native functionality there. And in addition to paging, this is a full touchscreen controller. Anything you can do on our ZSV wall controller, which is a wall controller with a little screen on it. You can change volume of a zone. You can change source of a zone. You can edit mix levels within a zone, recall a message or a routine, change the bell schedule, view upcoming events. All those things you can now do on a much bigger, nicer looking screen with an easy to use interface.
Yeah, and that was the place where people felt like it went over their expectation, right? They wanted a paging station, but they basically got a paging station that's a control interface. And the response from that, again, was one of those, wow, like you didn't just meet my expectation, you drastically exceeded it. And that was the thing we heard, for people that were seeing it for the first time, it was, wow, this is great. But for the people who have been involved in the first generation of hardware, the leaps that you made, adding power, I don't think most people saw that coming, but then to do the power sharing the way you did, that came out of left field for everybody and really kind of blew the bar away. Same thing with the paging station, with the fact that you had that control interface. It really took the game to another level. So let's finish up with software. And if you want to add anything else on this, but let's jump into the software. We've got new software coming. Talk a little bit about some of the features that are built in that are not specific just to the hardware and additions that we've made.
Sure. Yeah. Along with the AZMP and the ZPS, we also launched our upcoming version 3.0 software. So we are in the 3.0 era of Atmosphere. And there's a lot of new features in this software release. Of course, this will ship with support for the AZMP models, support for the ZPS paging station models, but there's a lot of other features in there, such as sound masking. We have a full suite of sound masking features to provide speech privacy in up to 8 zones. We have the ability to have our Bluetooth audio wall controller supply stereo audio instead of only mono, which is really nice for a lot of customers who were wanting that. We have an improved virtual wall controller experience where it shows only the items on your mobile phone that controller should have access to. There are several dozen other smaller improvements throughout, but masking is one of the biggest new features we wanted to release with this software release. And it is not a hobby of a masking product. This is a long time in the making, full dive into the sound masking speech privacy market with Atmosphere. And so what that means is when you create a zone in Atmosphere, you can now allow it to be a masking zone. And we can support up-firing speakers, which are in the ceiling in the plenum pointed up, or down-firing speakers, which use multiple channels to alternate noise directly to the listener's ears. And we spent a lot of time with masking folks around the industry and within the company to get this interface and to get this feature set just right and make it so if you're only a masking customer, that this provides you with everything you would ever want, plus all of the Atmosphere features, such as paging or background music, or the ability to have Bluetooth for a birthday song, or scheduling and stuff like that. So with masking, we gave everything a masking integrator would need, pink noise, white noise generation, high pass filters, low pass filters, graphic EQ with a homegrown perfect fit mode that perfectly aligns the response curve with where your fader handles are. We have daily schedules for turning it on and off and ramping it up and down on a daily basis. We have long-term commissioning schedules for 2, 3, and 4 week long initial ramp ups. So we really tried to give this market a boost that it hasn't had in a while as far as technology and innovation and methods of doing things and help. And even with with masking, we're excited to start getting that out there and start getting the feedback. Like you said before, we've done releases, a lot of software releases. This is our 9th or 10th software feature release. So we really are excited to get that out there and to get people to start giving us feedback and ideas to improve it even further.
Yeah, I can specifically on sound masking, just to echo a little bit of what you're saying. When I got back from Barcelona, I started talking to my sales team here in the US, and the message over and over, and it wasn't like we were all in a group and they were all just going, oh yeah, me too. I mean, it was separate conversations, but the message was they're just showing a PowerPoint. They don't have gear to go demo yet, right? And just showing the PowerPoint of the interface on the masking side, people are saying this is platform changing. Like, we're moving away from what we've been selling. This is going to be our standard once the product is released. So I think it's the same thing you guys did with the bell scheduling. You didn't just throw something together and stick it out there. You really went and studied the market. You figured out what the best was, and then you figured out how do we make it look better, make it easier to work with. You did the same thing with masking. you just kind of keep doing it with everything, which is awesome from a sales perception, but it's even better from a customer perception because, again, kind of to echo the message I hear, our channel feels like this product was built for them. I mean, obviously the end customer is who we've got to appease, right? They need a solution that's going to meet their needs, but there's so many tools that you all have built in that aid the installer, that help the designers, that help, you go in and start showing the graphic design tools and the layouts and the fact that you can see where everything's, I mean, it's just over and over. They feel like, wow, this is really designed around our needs. You want to address that?
Now, yeah, they're, making integrators' lives easier to set this up, but gives them the tools to go into a space with confidence. And adding masking to the Atmosphere tool set is hopefully going to bring more and more awareness to the product. We have a motto around here, a couple mottos. One is simple doesn't have to mean basic, and the other is Atmosphere can do that. And we're starting to say that more and more. But like you alluded to, we do want to give a different spin on things. We do want to give, we think, a better way of doing things because, take ambient noise compensation, a simple concept of when the audio of the room goes up, we should raise volume. And when it goes down, we should lower volume. But of course, there's all these restrictions and nuance with that. And integrators found that to be very problematic and really hard to leave an install and not get a callback or not have issues. So that was one example early on that we tried to take that and really make it simple. We created the auto mode for that, which is like a smart thermostat, but for audio. And with sound masking, we took all these problems that are sometimes kind of problems that didn't get resolved out of stubbornness or this is the way we do it. And we tried to bring some new approaches to it while also having all those same tools in the same way that people are used to not mess with their workflow. So listening to that market and understanding why they like things the way they were was really important and a great learning experience for us and allowed us, the credibility to go and start improving that for a different audience. And so with sound masking, we have future features we want to do that are totally innovative and not done, but we'll save those for 3.1 and so on.
Sure. So I want to hit two more things real quick as far as new additions or changes to the family that I got feedback on that I just want to talk about individually. So our setup crew and building out the booth and getting everything in line, the very first comment they said is, wow, the Wi-Fi now is incredible. I know you all made some changes. For those who don't know, Atmosphere is Wi-Fi enabled so that if you go in to do an installation and the network's not in place yet, you can turn that on and basically then connect from any device type to begin to go work in there. You all made some changes on the Wi-Fi, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. For the AZMP models and all regular AZMs sold in 2023 moving forward, we will have an external Wi-Fi antenna. Of course, we include an antenna with that, but also gives the integrator the option to add an extension to that to go outside the rack. And this has improved the Wi-Fi performance and speed quite a bit. And as you alluded to, this is really important for a lot of our customers that get on site, the whole network, the infrastructure isn't there, or if it is, there's someone working on it, turning it on and off. And as you guys were at the show, as things were getting built and the infrastructure wasn't there, you wanted to get started setting up. So that was, the way to do it, to connect directly to the device. And that new external antenna is going to give us a lot better range and performance.
Yeah, lots of great feedback. And again, going above and beyond expectations. The last thing I want to hit is self-test. It got a lot of positive response because there's so many of our resellers that are tied into service contracts with their customers, or it also got a positive response from in-house AV teams. So like university teams where they've got an in-house team that's handling everything. Can you talk a little bit about the self-test feature and kind of what the thought process is?
Sure. To start, I want to say everything we've talked about up to this point is available on the new AZMP as well as the existing AZM models. And that'll all be included with the 3.0 software release in the next couple months. What is unique only to the powered models, the AZMP models, is what we call system self-test. And back several years ago when we started planning out this release, this feature with this amplifier, one of our big decision points was you can go out there and buy an amplifier module from vendors that we can package easily and put into a product. There's nothing wrong with them. A lot of people do that, and you get a pretty good product out of it. We wanted to make something that was a little more forward-looking as we start to develop smart buildings and, larger systems and more network-based systems. We wanted the ability to give the integrator and the end customer some sense that their system is up and running. And in order to test a system, it can be really hard. You'd have to go listen to every single speaker or every single zone at the exact same time to know that something is working. Or if a crossover on a speaker went out, how would the end customer really know? It's really, really hard. But they may notice lower performance. So developing this amplifier in-house allowed us to put all the technical hooks into this circuit and into the product firmware to give us the ability to run what we call self-test. So that does system level functions like test the fan functionality. Are they spinning at the right rate? Are they cooling at the right rate? Test internal voltages, test the relays, test temperatures, and look for faults and things like that. But we can also do impedance sweeps. So you can run a impedance sweep using pink noise, low frequency, mid frequency, high frequency into a zone, and then you save those results. And then on a schedule, a daily, weekly, or monthly schedule, the AZM in the middle of the night probably can start doing all these tests. It can test the fans, it can test the relays, it can test for faults and other things, and it can put it through a stress test, and it can do an impedance sweep. And it draws a nice, cool little curve, and you can give it high and low limits. And what happens is if something is out of line or out of tolerance, it will then notify the integrator or the end user or whoever is set up. We have a list of emails that can be reported to, whether it's a failure or whether it's, you can choose to have every single test result sent to you or just the failures. But this is really like as you mentioned to me months ago, it's a system degradation detector. We noticed, on an 8-ohm speaker, the crossover was messed up, and you will see that draw out there. If you pull speakers off a line or change the speaker taps, you will see a different response in the impedance curve. So this can tell an end user or an integrator that something is wrong with their speaker line or something is wrong with the amplifier. Maybe it's, got a rat's nest inside it blocking the fans. Maybe they put a ported speaker and some of the cleaning crew pushed it up against the wall and that port is now blocked. You will see those changes in these responses. So by training the system at commissioning, going, this is a known good state, and then setting up that schedule, you can have the peace of mind that the system is working well.
Yeah, and we called it that because the reality is we walk job sites all the time and hear stuff not working. And they go, oh, I never noticed that quit. And we see it in education. We see it, you walk in and you're standing under a speaker and you hear an announcement and you go, nothing came out of that. And they go, oh, yeah, I guess we've never really heard anything out of that. It probably worked at some point in time and somebody walked away thinking it was good. And as a customer, obviously, we want it to keep working, if it was our facility. So the fact that we built tools in to keep that communication aflow and let people know if there's a problem for whatever reason, it gives them the ability to maintain a high level system that they're investing in the first place.
That's right.
Yeah. So we got one last question that came in. I just want to ask this real fast. I said it was my last question, so this came from the audience. There was a question about the monitor on the front of the AZMP and what the thought process was for that monitor.
I almost missed one of the best features. The AZMP models Michael mentioned the monitor speaker. There is actually a little speaker, a little 1.5-inch speaker behind the grill here. And using the front panel interface or the software, you can kind of dial that in like a radio dial to different points of the system. So you could listen to monitor inputs right from the rack or right from the system to know that your inputs are there and they're clean, and you can listen to them before any kind of processing is concerned. So that's a really good troubleshooting tool. And you can also test and listen to the amplifier outputs. So not just the output of, the internal DSP, but what's actually going out to the speaker. And so you can dial that into a zone or a channel and make sure that things are okay. And if you were to start, if you crush a cable and short out a line, and you'll hear that same performance degradation on the monitor speaker. So it's a way to kind of make sure the inputs and the outputs are good, and actually, without walking the whole venue, I'm going to listen to it right here at the comfort of the rack and my computer. But yeah, there's a built-in speaker there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny. We tend to think sometimes about, an 8-zone facility as something that's pretty easy to walk. But I was talking to an installer, a dealer owner out of Bali last week, and he was telling me that he was showing me a job profile that they were doing, and the restaurant seats 5,000. And there's a huge beach area, and there's all these different venues, right? There's a museum, but it's 8 zones. That's a crazy thing. The restaurant's 1 zone. The music on the beach area is 1 zone. The museum is 1 zone. But imagine the size of this facility. It was stunning, absolutely beautiful. This guy was just top notch. But that's when you go back and think about that feature making a difference. Like, you'd almost have to have 2-way radios or cell phones to go, okay, go stand over there and see if it's working. And then you got to go troubleshoot. Hey, is it the input? Is it the output? So again, really forward thinking from you and the entire product management and engineering team. The AtlasIED guys are just phenomenal. And I can't tell you, as the person who gets the opportunity to sell and to lead a team of salespeople, Atmosphere is so popular right now. So the last thing, and I'm just going to say it, I'm going to steal the thunder. So when's this thing going to be available? We've heard that so many times already. In fact, we actually have orders in already, which is really, really cool that people are already getting in the queue. They want it. 90 days is basically our goal. Anytime we introduce a product, we want to hit that 90-day window. So what I'm telling everybody is 1st of May. I know we might get in there. We might squeeze in a little early, fingers crossed, but just to set expectations with all things supply chain, I'm saying 90 days. We introduced it on February 2nd, or 1st, I think. So I'm going to go 90 days later and say May 1st. So, unless you think
we'll try our best to beat that.
Yeah, exactly.
We do expect to have some small quantities in April before that. But yeah, supply chain will continue to be a problem throughout this year for everybody. But we are working our hardest to get as many of these out there. We know they're going to be popular. We think we have a winner here, and we're doing everything we can. Denise and Leonard and the teams here are just doing everything they can for our customers, and we really appreciate them.
Absolutely. They move heaven and earth, and the fact that our leadership gives them the financial resources to go get it. Long before most people know what a supply chain was, our CEO had a belief that it was inappropriate to tell a customer the product wasn't available. And obviously we have to do that more than we've ever had to, but we continue to stay really, really healthy. And for the most part, can always clear our backlog in 90 days, which I think is really huge. I do want to also just mention that the standalone AZM 4 and 8 are not going away. So you'll still be able to use the standalone AZM 4 and 8, or you'll be able to use the AZM P 4 and 8. So they'll both still be here. The family just grew. That's all.
Yep. They'll continue to get feature and performance updates as well.
Absolutely.
Well,
Tom, it's great to talk to you. I think you guys hit a home run. I think as people get their hands on the product, which sales team should have product sooner than later, we're hoping. So if you go to our website, www.AtlasIED.com, and look under Contact Us, you can find a list of all of the domestic sales team and rep firms and all of our international distributors. And you can also find my information, and you're welcome to reach out to me if we want to see something before we have gear in our demo kits. We'll do something virtual for you, and we'll make sure that you have an opportunity to see the product and get in the queue, get in line, and get ready for it. Because once we hit, it's going to get crazy. So that's it. Again, if you've got any other questions, feel free to submit them to us. We'll do our very best to respond back and chat to you. And I think that's it. So anything else from your side, Tom?
No, just thank you to you and the team at the show last week for representing us well. I'm glad everything was a hit. We're really excited about this. I mean, I last cut my hair before the launch of the first phase. Right before the launch of the first phase, I cut my hair, and we've been working this long and this hard for this moment right now, and we're just so happy. So really,
I'll tell you, first time I met you, I knew you were a rock star. Now you look like one. So there you go.
Thank you.
All right. Well, for Tom Lureman and myself, Michael Peveler, I want to thank you all for being here. Hit us at www.AtlasIED.com. You can find us on socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and follow us there. All of us are on LinkedIn as well. Hit us with any questions you have. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Thank you for your support of our brand, and have a great day.